Imagine managing your real estate assets, properties, transactions, and clients seamlessly from a single app. And what if I told you we're building it from scratch in under 7 hours? That's right. In this tutorial, we're creating a full personal real estate management software for desktop and tablets using Python and KivyMD, a powerful user interface framework for stunning cross-platform apps. We'll cover dashboard UI, property listings, transactions, client management, and even secure authentication with backend functionality. And the best part, you don't need weeks or months to build this. I'll show you how to do it in less than 7 hours. So, if you are ready to level up your Python and KivyMD skills and build a reward app, stick around because this is going to be epic. Okay, so this is the system that we're gonna build, right? So right here we have the dashboard displayed, right? And on our dashboard we can see the property income, property expenses, total properties, and total clients, right? So on the right we have transactions. This is where we're gonna see all our income, right? Then underneath that we're gonna have a label, properties under management, a search box, then some properties displayed here, right? So in addition to a dashboard, we're gonna have properties there, and our properties, right? We can add properties, then we can update with this button, delete. Then we have transactions, right? So here we're gonna see some transactions displayed. Then here's a search box. Here we can add, update, then delete, right? And you can do the same for clients, right? Then right here we're gonna have settings. So on top here we're gonna have our user and our user type. So this is going to be the user profile picture, the avatar. Next to that we're gonna have a button, and this is gonna be our notifications, and this is going to be our logout button, right? So we're gonna do more on this when we start working on this, right? So get your text editors ready and let's code. So in the video description, you're gonna find a link to this template folder, right? So also this template folder, we have an app folder, right? And inside this app folder, we have a init.py file, right? So this is going to contain all of our code, all the main ones, right? Then we're gonna import all our screens here. So at first, right, this template has a home screen and it's already imported. Then for this tutorial, right, we just gonna start with the navigation buttons already made, our custom buttons, our custom flat buttons, our custom drop downs, and we have this info card here, right? Then underneath these imports, right, we have spinner options. So this is the custom spinner that we are going to be using for this tutorial. But then we have the main window, which is the main app, right? So let's just close this. Then underneath this app folder, we have assets. So inside the assets, we're just gonna have fonts, right? Then images, right? Inside this images folder, we have the avatar.png. So we have a house.jpg. So this is just gonna be like the house we're gonna be using to display, right, when we are creating the user interface. Then we have a loading GIF, then our logo, right? Then underneath assets, we have views. So views is gonna contain all our different screens, right? So we're gonna have, so at first we're gonna have home. Then underneath this home folder, right, we have create screen.py. So this is the one we're gonna be using to create all our screens, right? So this folder is gonna contain the dashboard, the authentication, transactions, clients, properties, and so forth. Then underneath views, we have widgets. So inside the widgets folder, we have buttons.py. So inside this buttons.py, right, that's where we have our custom buttons. So we have a custom flat button. So this is just a button with some background color, and it doesn't have any icons. Then we have a custom button right here. So the custom button has an icon. Then we have a custom drop down. Then we have our navigation tab, right? So underneath that buttons.py, we have cards.py. So cards.py has info card. So we're gonna see what this looks like when we're creating our dashboard, right? Then underneath cars.py, we're gonna have models.py. So this is where we're gonna contain all our models, right? The ones we're gonna be using. Let's say we click add a button, right? The one thing that's gonna pop up, then we can add our buttons. So we're gonna store that inside our models. Then we have pop-ups. So right inside of pop-ups.py, we have confirm pop-up. Then underneath pop-ups.py, we have tables.py. So this is where it's gonna contain all our tables, right? Then we have textfield.py. So this is just a text input that we just tweaked a little bit. Then underneath widgets, we have main.py. So we're gonna be using main.py to run our app, right? So it's gonna import main app from the app folder. Then we're gonna run that main app, right? Underneath main.py, we have requirements.txt. So we're just gonna run this before we do anything. Then we can start coding. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna open our terminal, right? Then inside our terminal, pip install -r requirements.txt like this. So I already have these packages installed, so I'm not gonna run this, right? So let me just close this terminal. Then I'm gonna run main.py here. Okay, so if the packages are installed and everything is ready, right, you're just gonna see this blank white screen like this, right? So let's get to coding. So now, right, I'm just gonna navigate to views.py, then open home, then open home.kv like this, right? So inside this home.kv, right, here I'm just gonna press enter and tab. So here I'm gonna put a box layout. So I'm not gonna put anything inside this box layout because the default orientation is just going to be horizontal, right? So at first, let me just press enter one more time. So here I'm gonna put two box layouts. So let me put a box layout here. Then let me duplicate it, right? So here I'm gonna put a comment. So this is going to be, let's just call it main window, like this. So I'm gonna copy this, paste it, and this one is going to be sidebar, like this. So inside the box layout, inside our sidebar, right? So let me just create some spacing here. Okay. So I'm gonna give this orientation. So this needs to be small caps, right? So orientation is going to be vertical, like this. Then we need to give this some size in X, right? Which we're gonna set to none, and some width. Let's set our width to 150 display pixels, like this. Then we need to give this some padding. Let's give it some padding of 10 display pixels, like this. Then spacing. So let's set our spacing to 40 display pixels. So this is going to be the spacing between our logo and our navigation buttons, right? Then we need to give this some background color. So here we're gonna say converse dot before, then color, then RGBA. So we're just gonna make this let's make it gray. So a very light gray. So here we're gonna say hashtag F. Now let's do F5 F5 because F1 might be a lot darker, right? So here we're gonna say a rectangle. Then pause. When I say self.pause, then size is going to be self.size, like this, right? So let's just run this and see how this looks. Okay. Um. Okay. I think so. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy this sidebar here, right? Let me just copy the comment too. Then paste it above our main window like this. So this is just gonna be. I'm just gonna say. Um. Let me just remove the comment, right? So I'm gonna give this some width of 1 display pixels, right? Then this I'm thinking of making this let's make it E9 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 like this. So let's rerun this. Okay, so there's some clear separation between our sidebar and our main window. Okay, so let's continue, right? So right here, let me get rid of this. Okay, so here let's put a box layout. Then give this some sizing Y of none. Then some height. Let's set it to 50 display pixels. Right. Then let's give this box layout some spacing. Let's set it to 10 display pixels like this. Excuse me. So inside this box layout, we need to put a box layout and an MD label. So this MD label is gonna have some text, right? So in our demo, right, the app was just REM, right? So if you have a better name to put here, just throw it in there, right? Then font style. So our font style is going to be title, right? Then our row is going to be large, like this. Then we need to make the text bold. So bold is going to be true, like this, right? So let's go back to our box layout here. So here, right, we need to give this some sizing tags. And we're gonna set it to none. Then some width. So our width is going to be self dot height like this. So it's gonna be the same size as our. It's gonna be a square, basically, right? Then let's give this some padding. So our padding, we're gonna set it to 5 display pixels like this. So we need to give this some background color. So I'm just gonna copy this here, then paste it here. Excuse me. So here, let me just tap this twice, right? So we need to change this background color here. So this one needs to be 556 B2F like this. So this should be like olive green, right? Then inside this box layout, right, we need to put an image. So here I'm gonna say image, then source, right? So let's navigate to assets, then images. So our logo is logo white.png, right? So here I'm just gonna say assets forward slash images forward slash logo underscore white.png like this, right? So okay, excuse me. So down here I'm just gonna put a placeholder box layout, right? So that everything is pushed upwards. So let's rerun this. Okay, so we need to give this some rounded edges, right? Um, okay, yeah. So this needs to be rounded rectangle, and we need to give this some radius. So radius is going to be let's say 4,4,4,4 like this. So let's rerun this. Eh, let's put 5,5,5. like this. Okay, so let's proceed. Right. Right here we need to give this box layout some orientation, right, of vertical, like this, and we're gonna give this some spacing too. So we're gonna set our spacing to, let's just maintain 10 display pixels for almost everything, right? Then inside this box layout, as you see in the label, right, in the demo, I mean, we need to put a label here. So MD label. Then let's give it some size int x, size int y, size int y, which you're gonna set to none, and give this some height. So our height is going to be 20 display pixels, right? Then our text is going to be manual, like this, right? Our font style, right, is going to be label raw, like this. Then we need to give this some color. So let's make it a dark gray, right? So we're gonna say 8D, 8A, 8C, like this. Then underneath this MD label, we need to put our buttons, right? So if we navigate to our widgets folder, right, and click on buttons.py, so we're gonna need this navigation tab, right? So we have icon and text. So let's scroll up. Okay. Okay, let's go back to home.kv. So let's close buttons.py. So here, right, I'm gonna say navigation tab, like this. Then we're gonna say icon. So our first icon should be a dashboard, right? Because that's the first thing we see when we sign in into a system, right? So here I'm gonna say view dashboard, like this. Then text is going to be dashboard, right? Then state should be down, right? So that whenever we open our system, right, we're gonna display the dashboard, right? Whenever we access the home screen, we're gonna see the dashboard first. So the first button is going to be the dashboard, so it should already be clicked whenever we log in into our system, right? So the state here is going to be down. Then we need to create a group. So what group does is just combines everything, right? Let's say we have 6 buttons with a group with one group name, right? So whenever you click one toggle button in that group, right, it's gonna deactivate the other ones. Then it's just gonna have one set to down. So if you click another one, it's gonna deactivate the previous one and so forth. So here the group, we're just gonna set it to, let's set it to navigation, like this. Then we're gonna need an on state, right? So let's say if the state is set to down, right, it's gonna call an action, right? So for now we don't have screens inside this home screen yet, but we're just gonna put the function here. So here, right, we're gonna name our screen manager, right? Gonna give it an ID of home screen manager. So here we're gonna say home underscore screen underscore manager, like this. Then we're gonna say dot current, and it's equal to, so we're just gonna put some empty space here because we haven't done anything yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this, control C. So we're gonna need let's say 5 of these, right? So we're gonna paste it 4 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And we need to copy this label here, like this, and paste it between here, right? So for now, I'm just gonna replace menu here with other, right? Excuse me. We're gonna replace it with other, right? Then you can get rid of this MD label, right? I'm just putting it here for design purposes, right? So now that we have our other screens, right, we need to get rid of this down here. I'm just gonna leave the first one with the state set to down, right? So get rid of this and this and this and this. So we're just gonna leave this one only, right? So okay, so we can run this now, right, without creating our other screens, right? So what we can do here is navigate to the bottom here. Then I'm gonna create our screens inside here. So for now, right, I'm just gonna put a box layout here, right? So okay, for now, let's just leave it like this. I'm gonna fix it a little bit later. So I just wanna check if navigation buttons are looking okay. So inside this box layout, I'm gonna add the screen manager like this, right? And give it an ID. So here's the ID, Control C, and Control V here, right? Then inside here, then you put some screens like this. Okay, so now let's run this. Okay, so as you can see, we have buttons here, right? So let me try pressing this. Okay, right. So now we need to push these navigation buttons to the top here. So underneath this navigation tab, I'm gonna put an empty box layout, just like this, right? So this should fix our problem, right? So if we navigate up, right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens, right? So let me just create the screens right now, right? Give this some name, Control Z. So let me just select everything here, then Control D, right arrow, press Enter, Tab, then give this some name, right? Open quotes, then just put screen here. So here I'm gonna say dashboard screen like this. Then okay, let me just fix this here. So here with dashboard, then here properties. So our icon is going to be office building, right? Then so here we need to put dashboard screen. So let's give this let's call it what? Let's just call it properties screen like this, right? So here we should have transactions, and this should be, let's put cash plus like this, right? So this is going to be transaction screen like this. Then we're gonna need clients, right? So this should be account group. Okay, so this needs to be client screen, right? Then here we should put settings, and let's just put a cog here like this, and this needs to be settings underscore screen like this. Okay, so inside this screen here, right, I'm gonna put a button and give it some text. So this one is going to be dashboard like this. So I'm gonna copy this button, then paste it. So let me select this, like Control D, right arrow, paste like this. So the second screen was transactions screen like this. So this needs to be transactions. And the third one was no, this should be properties. But anyways, let's put properties here. Right. So this is going to be properties. And the other one was clients. And let's put clients here. And this one was settings. Right. So here let's put settings like this. So let's rerun it. Right. So let's check if our navigation here. Our navigation is working properly. Okay. So let's start working on our main window now. Right. Okay. Create some space here. And some space here. So this should have an orientation set to vertical like this. I'm gonna give this some padding of 10 display pixels. Then spacing, we're gonna set it to 10 display pixels also. Right. We need to give this some background color, right? So I'm just gonna copy this here, paste it here, then change this to FF. So this is going to be white, right? Then underneath here, when I put a box layout like this, right? So I set this box layout up. Let's just leave it with our horizontal orientation, right? So let's give it some sizing Y. And when I set this to none, and our height, when I set this to 40 display pixels, like this. So let's give this some spacing, right? Of 10 display pixels, like this. So here we need to put a box layout and give it some orientation of vertical, like this. Inside this box layout, we need to put two MD labels. Excuse me. Oh, okay. So let's proceed. So this MD label, we're gonna give it some text, and our text is gonna come from root.user, right? So if we navigate to home.py, I've just pressed the wrong one. Yeah, right. So inside the template, we have this user and user type and our avatar, right? So you can replace these here, right? I can get rid of my name here. So let me get rid of my surname here and just leave Tanaka Peter like this. So let's navigate back to home.kv, right? Um, we need to say edge align, right? So that we push the text to the right side. So edge align is going to be right like this. Then font style is going to be label. Then row, we need to set our row to medium. There, so I'm gonna copy this, then paste it underneath here. So this is going to be user type like this, and this row needs to be small, right? So and let's make this one gray color, right? So we're gonna say color hashtag 8D8A8C like this. Then we need to put another box. We need to put a box layout here also. So let me create some space here. Okay, this is much better. Right. So here we need to give this box layout some size in X, which we're gonna set to none. And our width, we need to set this to self.height. Right. Then we need to give this some background. So let me just scroll up, copy this, and paste it here. So let me select this, tap this inside twice like this. Okay. So this needs to be around the rectangle because we need to place our avatar here. Then give this some radius. So our radius is going to be self dot height like this, right? So and we need to give this some source. So the source of our image, right, is gonna come from root dot avatar like this, right? Then after doing this, let's just run this and see if this looks okay before we go any further. Okay, so we have our name and our user type and our avatar here at the top right corner, right? So let's go back to our text editor. So now we need to add two more icons, right? So I'm gonna copy this, Control C, then paste it twice, right? So I'm gonna get rid of this here, like this. So the first one, I'm gonna change it to a float layout, like this, right? So inside the float layout, right, we need to put an MD icon button, right? So MD icon button like this, right? And the first icon is going to be, let's put a bell something. Let me just say bell outline for now. If it doesn't work, then we're gonna play around with the wording, or we're just gonna go online and search for the name. So let's say theme text underscore color. So we need to set this to custom so that we can set our own color. Then text color. So let's give this let's say 0,0,0,0.7 like this, and we close this, right? So for now, let's not put attach a function to this icon button just yet. So I'm just gonna copy it. So we need to give this a positioning before we go any further. So pause and right, curly braces. So in here I'm gonna say center X, right? So we're gonna set this to 0.5. So that's at the center horizontally. Then we need to put center Y, excuse me, center Y needs to be 0.5. So that's at the middle, right? Going vertically, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this MD icon here, then paste it here, right? So I'm not gonna need the position into the box layout, right? But I'm gonna need it inside the float layout. So the second one needs to be logout, like this, right? So let's just run this. Okay, so our icons are looking good. But if you notice inside our demo, right, we had a red circle somewhere around here, right, to notify us that we have notifications we haven't attended to just yet. So let's try and put that red circle right there. So inside the first float layout here, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put a box layout. right? So I'm gonna give this size int, and we're gonna say none, comma, none, like this, right? So our size, right? What we can do, right? We can say size here. Then so here I'm gonna say self dot height, comma. Then I'm gonna set the height to 10 display pixels here, right? Then let's give this some position it. So let me just duplicate this, then drag this down here. So let's change this to 0.7 and this to 0.7. So if it's not looking okay, we can move it up to 0.8 for both the horizontal axis and vertical axis. Then what we need to do here is we need to give this some background color, right? So let's just copy this and we're gonna paste it here. So we need to select the canvas dot before, then tab it inside. So this needs to be red in color. So let's say FF, then put 4 zeros like this. So let's run this and see how it looks. Okay, so we have our red dot here, right? So now let's proceed and work on our dashboard screen. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get rid of home screen and home.py, right? Then open our terminal. So let's get rid of this. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna say cd views, right? Then inside views we're gonna say Python create underscore screen.py space. So our first screen is gonna be dashboard like this. Then we press enter. Then let's minimize this, right? So if you see inside our views folder, we now have dashboard here. So let me just get rid of this like this, right? So here let's navigate to app.py, then open init.py. So inside here, we need to import our dashboard screen. So let's Control C this and Control V this. Then the second one, like this needs to be dashboard, and this like this. After doing this, let's navigate to home.kv. So we need to change the first screen, right, to dashboard like this. Then we need to get rid of the button here inside our dashboard screen, right? So now, right, let's navigate to views, then dashboard, and open dashboard.kv, right? So we're just gonna work with this for now. And we're also gonna need dashboard.py. So let's just have it open here. And before we work on our dashboard.kv, we need to put some variables here, right? So here we need total units, and total units is going to be a numeric property, right? Like this, and the placeholder is going to be 0. So we need to import this. Okay, so let's import it manually here. Okay, so I'm gonna Control C and Control paste it 3 more times, right? So this one is going to be total income. Then this is going to be total expenses. And this needs to be total clients, right? So okay. let's leave it like this for now and open dashboard.kv. Right. So inside here, right, we need to put two box layouts. So let's say box layout like this. Then this one is going to be, gonna give it a size of y of none, and height, when I set it to self dot minimum height like this, right? And some spacing of 10 display pixels like this. So here we need to, okay, before we do that, before we do put anything inside this box layout, I need to copy it and paste it down here. All right. And we're gonna paste it one more time. So this one here, we need to set it to 40 display pixels like this. And the other one, let's get rid of everything. Let's just leave it like this. And we're gonna put a scroll wheel inside here. So this scroll wheel is gonna have a bar width of 0 and bar color, we're gonna set to transparent like this. Then size underscore int y, we're gonna set it to none, and our height, we're gonna set it to the parent of this box layout. So we're gonna say self dot parent dot height like this, right? Then inside the scroll wheel, we need to put a grid layout, right? So this grid layout, we're gonna give it an ID of dash underscore properties underscore list like this. Then calls, we're gonna set it to 1, size int y, we're gonna set it to none. Then our height is going to be self.minimum height. Okay, and we need to give this some spacing of 10 display pixels like this, right? So okay, let's work on this small like display small box layout. My bad. So here we need to put a box layout, right? And when I give this some size int x of none, then our width is going to be self dot height like this. Down here we need to put an MD label. And when I give this some size int x, I'm gonna set it to, let's say 0.25, right? Then here we're gonna give you some text. So the text is going to be name, then font style is going to be label, raw is going to be medium, bold is going to be true. Then when I give this some color, right? So this is going to be AD8A8C like this, right? So I'm gonna select this and paste it 4 more times. right? So the second one is going to be address, right? The third one is going to be tenant. So let's make this point 2, right? And this one is going to be type. So let's make this one 0.15, right? And this one needs to be status, right? And let's make this 0.15 also, right? Okay, so now let's go back to the top here. So let's create some space, right? So inside the first box layout, right? Here we need to put a grid layout like this. Then I want to say size and y is gonna be none, and our height is going to be self dot minimal height like this. Then calls is going to be 2, spacing is going to be 10 display pixels like this, right? Then inside our grid layout, we need to add our info cards. So if you navigate to widgets folder, then cards, right? So we need to add this info card here, right? So let's go back to, let's just get rid of it. Go, yeah. So here we're gonna say info card, right? We're gonna say background color. Let's open in cards.py again. We don't have background color. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Here is say icon. So the first icon is going to be cache plus, right? Then heading. So our heading is going to be, let's put property income first. All right. Then our sub heading like this, income like this. Then total. So our total is going to be root dot total underscore income, right? So let's open dashboard.py real quick. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this, paste it 3 more times like this. So the second one needs to be cash minus, right? So, and this one is going to be property expenses, total expenses, then year total expenses like this. So now, right, let's put a office building here, right? So this is going to be properties, and this needs to be total properties like this. So now this should be account group. Then heading should be property, let's just say clients, right? So this is going to be total clients, and this, right? So now what we can do, right? let's create a box layout. Yeah, yeah, right here. And we're gonna give this an orientation of vertical. Then let's put an MD label here. All right. So let's give this some size int y, right? And we're gonna set this to none. Then our height, let's set it to 35 display pixels, right? Then text is going to be transactions. Then font style, we're gonna set it to label. Then row. So our row, we're gonna set it to large, like this. Then bold is going to be true, right? So underneath this MD label, we're gonna put in a box layout. So it's an empty box layout. We're just gonna give this an ID. So our ID is going to be transactions chart, like this, right? So let's run this and see how this looks. Okay. Total, we have root.total properties. Okay, so let's open dashboard.py. Total, we have total units. Okay. So let's run this again. Okay, so this is looking good, right? So underneath these transactions there, we're gonna have a graph here, right? Um, what we can do, right, between these this box layout and the one with the grid, right? We can add a label somewhere here and maybe a search box, right? Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna put it somewhere here. So let's copy this and paste it here. So and reduce this to 35 display pixels, right? So I'm gonna copy this label here, then paste it here, right? So we're not gonna give this any size index. And here we're gonna say properties under management, like this. Then let's get rid of this color here. Now under this MD label, we need to put a box layout, like this. And we're gonna give this box layout some padding. Then our padding, we need to set it to 1 display pixel, right? And don't have any colors here. Okay, let's open up the Kivy, and I'm gonna copy this here. Then I'm gonna paste it here. So this one here should be E9, E9, E9. Then get rid of this. This is going to be 5, 5, 5, 5, right? Then I'm gonna copy this, paste it down here, select it again, then tab it inside. All right. And now we need to change this color. So this needs to be F5, 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 right? And the padding here, when I say when I put 10 display pixels for the left and right padding, right? Then let's put 2.5 for the top and bottom, 2.5 display pixels like this. Then inside this box layout now, let's put a float layout. And when I give this some size int x of none, then our width is going to be self.height, right? And inside here, we need to put an MD icon. And the icon is going to be magnify. Then when I say theme, text, color is going to be custom like this. Then text color. So our text color, let's make it AD8A8C like this, right? Then we need to give this a position int. So pause int, calibrations. So here when I say center X, when I set it to 0.5, then center Y is gonna be 0.5 also, like this. Then underneath the float layout, we're gonna add a text field like this. So the ID is going to be search int text, going to be search dot dot dot, then multi-line is going to be false like this. So let's rerun this and see how this looks. Okay, so this is not. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna create the chart for this spot here. After we're done with this chart, then we're gonna create our tables, right, and display the properties that we have under management here. So let's open dashboard.py here, right? So underneath our total clients, right, when I say properties, then add an underscore here, and this is going to be a list property like this. Then here we need to get rid of this. Then we're gonna say clock dot schedule once. Then inside here we're gonna say self dot run underscore essentials, comma .1 here, right? So let me control D and control C this. Then here I'm going to say define, comma DT, right? So inside here, right, for now we're just going to say pause. Then I need to import this clock here from Kivy.clock, right? So underneath this run essentials function, when I create a show transaction chart function. So here when I say show transactions, short, right? So let me control D this, get rid of this pass. So you're gonna say self dot, right, like this, so that whenever our screen is on display, right, this on enter function is gonna be called, right? And inside this on enter function, this crop.schedule1 is gonna run this run essentials, right? Then our chart is gonna be showed. Then the properties under management are gonna be showed also. So let me just create the function and call it underneath here. All right. So this one we're gonna call it show properties. Right. So I'm gonna control C this. Right. Then here I'm gonna say pass like this. Right. So now let's create show transactions. So here what we can say is when I say data X is going to be, I'm gonna say np dot arrange. So we need to import this. All right. So when I say 1 comma 18, right? So here we're trying to get like the 12 months of the year, right? But before we proceed, we need to do some imports. Right. So underneath this build, I'm gonna say import NumPy as np like this. Then I'm gonna say import Matplotlib dot pyplot as plt like this. Then I'm gonna say from Kivy underscore garden dot matplotlib dot backend Kivy arg import figure canvas Kivy arg as fck like this, right? So this needs to have 1R like this, okay? So now we're gonna say income is equal to np dot random dot rand int like this. So here I'm gonna say 50,000. Let's say 5,000. Right. Then 10,000 like this. Right. 12 times like this. Right. So I need to control C and control V these 2 more times. So this one here is going to be expenses, and this one here is going to be sales like this, right? So underneath here, when I say fig comma ax is equal to plt dot subplots. Then down here I'm gonna say x dot plot, right? Data x comma the first one is what? Income comma label is going to be income, then color for income let's put blue. All right, like this. So we need to add some shadow effect to our ax dot plot, right? So what you're gonna say here is we're gonna say ax dot fill between like this. And when I say data X, like this, income alpha. So alpha, we're gonna set it to 0.03 like this. So it's just gonna be light. Then color. So let's just put blue. So what we need to do is I'm gonna select this, then paste it 2 more times, right? So this one here is going to be expenses, right? And the color here, we're gonna set it to purple, like this. And this one here, we need to change it to cells. And the color here, we're gonna set it to green, like this. Now, let's create some space down here. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna say ax dot set x label. Then here when I say amounts, then font size. So font size, I'm gonna set it to 6 here because I don't have a very large screen here. So, but if you have a larger screen, you can just set it to maybe 8, 9, or even up to 11, right? Then let me Control C and Control V this. So this needs to be Y label, and this needs to be amount, right? So let's put a $sign here, like this. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna say ax dot set ticks, like this. Then here when I say data x, right? Then I want to say ax dot set x ticks, label. So here we're gonna say data x font size is equal to 6. So let me Control C and Control V this. Then I will need to get rid of these data x, right? We're gonna say ax dot get underscore y ticks, like this, right? And this needs to be set y ticks, like this, right? So now what we want to do is we need to get rid of the borders that we have around our chart, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna say ax dot spines. Then I'm gonna say top dot set underscore visible and set it to false, like this. So I'm gonna Control C and paste it 3 more times. So this is going to be top, then this is going to be bottom, this one is going to be left, and this one is going to be right, like this, right? Now that we've gotten rid of our borders, right, when I say fig dot tight layout, right? So that it's gonna use up any space that we have, and it's gonna fill up all the dead space, and our graph is gonna look a little bit bigger and sort of like taking up the whole space that we have available. So now what we need to do is let's go back to dashboard.py and look for ID. Okay, so it was transactions chart like this. Okay. So now when I say self dot IDS dot, right? So you're gonna say dot clear widgets, right? So if you have anything inside our charts, right, it's gonna be cleared first, then Control C, Control V, right? Now we need to say add widgets. So we're gonna clear the widgets before we add our charts here. So now we're gonna say add widget. Then inside here, when I say FCK parentheses fig like this, all right. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna try and run this and see if our graph is looking okay. Okay, so there's something wrong with our chart. So let me just hit this ax.setXTix label. So okay, this should be labels. So let's run this again. Okay. I was making a lot of typos. Okay. Okay, so we forgot to put parentheses here, right? So let's run this again. Okay, so here's our chart, right? It's not looking too bad. So let's maximize this. Okay, so there's our chart, right? So what we need to do now is work on the tables down here, right? So let's minimize this. So let's scroll up, right? So I'm gonna Control D and Control C this, right? Then paste it here. So back here I'm gonna say self dot, so it's gonna be self dot properties, and I'm gonna set it to an empty list, right? Then let me just paste it. So this is not going to be the same self dot properties, right? This is going to be a new variable. So I'm gonna say properties is equal to let me just say 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7 comma 8 like this. Then here I'm gonna say for x, and let me paste it properties here, right? When I say data, right, like this. So now let's create our dictionary, right? So here I'm gonna say ID, right? And our ID is going to be 1, right? So let me copy this and paste it a few more times. So this one here is going to be avatar, and our avatar is going to come from assets, um, images. Then let's navigate to assets, then images. Right, so it's house.jpg. Okay, so let me close this. So house.jpg like this. Then next to it we're gonna have name, right? So let's name our house. Let's call it Zeus. And I don't know why I just thought of Zeus, but anyways, let's just use it. Uh let's give it an address, right? So our address, right? Um let's just say 12 somewhere nowhere street in Mars, right? Okay. Then under address, let's put tenant, right? So let's say our tenant's is named Linda. Okay, fine. Let's use Linda. Then Linda, so the surname is going to be Linda something. So the whole name is going to be Linda something. Then under tenant, we need to have type and status. So let's say type, right? So type, let's say it's a condo. So condo, medium. Then status. So the status of the property we're gonna be saying let's say occupied, like this. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna say self dot properties dot append. So we're gonna append data, right? So now what we're gonna do now is so with this function, right, we're gonna append let's say we are like this list here, right? It has 8 items in it, right? So it's gonna append data to solve the properties 8 times, right? So whenever we send something to this with this file variable right here to this list variable, right, it's gonna be disturbed. So it's gonna take in information. So it's gonna have 8 properties inside of it, right? So what we wanna do is make every time that we disturb that properties list, that list variable, right, it's gonna do something, right? So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna say define on properties underscore right parentheses. So here is self, then instance, then properties, and then underscore here, right? So we need to have a table. So here when I say table is equal to self dot ids dot. So let's go back to dashboard.kv. Scroll downwards. Named dash properties list. So I'm gonna control D, control C this, then paste it here, right? Underneath that one, I'm gonna say table dot clear widgets. So what we'll be doing here is we're gonna be clearing whatever inside our dash properties list. So let's say we already have information here, so we're gonna clear it first, then we're gonna add new information. So let's say we delete something, right? So if we don't clear the table, the new information is just gonna be put underneath the old information, right? So now we make sure that we get rid of everything first, then we're gonna add new information, right? So right here I'm gonna say for, let's just say x, for x in properties, right? Like this, right? So let's say table raw. So we don't have this just yet, but I'm just gonna put it down here. So let's just call, we're gonna create a custom widget here. So I'm just gonna call it dash properties. Dash property. Let's say dash property tab like this, right? So yeah, I'm gonna say table raw dot id is going to be a string of x. Then this needs to be id like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm gonna say, let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the second one was avatar. The third one was excuse me, excuse me. So name, the other one was address, right? Then here when I have tenant, right? Then this one is going to be type, and this is going to be status, right? Then underneath that, we're gonna say table dot add widget, and we're gonna have the widget we're gonna be adding is table row like this, right? So now what we need to do is create this dash property tab, right? So okay, let's navigate to a widgets folder, then open tables.py. So underneath here, I'm gonna say cross, right? Paste it. Then I'm gonna put a box layout like this. Then down here, I'm gonna just say ID is equal to string property like this. So inside the template folder, most of the stuff is already imported, right? Okay. So down here, I need to do this, then press this here like this. Okay. So here I'm gonna say padding. So what we're gonna do here is like on the left, we're not gonna need any padding, right? At the top, no padding. At the right, no padding. But at the bottom, we're gonna put 2 display pixels like this. Then we're gonna say size and Y. We're gonna set it to none, and our height, we're gonna set it to 40 display pixels, right? So let me just check inside the dashboard. Okay, it's 40 display pixels like this, right? And I'm spacing, when I set it to 10 display pixels like this. And what we can do here is we can add a color at the bottom, right? So that all the information is just gonna be separated by each tab, right? So it's gonna be easy to see the separation when you're looking at it. So let's say canvas dot before. So you're gonna look, you see what I'm trying to do here when I'm done. Okay, so just bear with me here. So color, right? Then RGBA, open parentheses, open quotes. Hashtag, let's put 8. Let's put E9 like this. Then here we need to put it right. We need to say rectangle, right? So pause. Going to be self.pause, yeah. Then size. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say self dot size index 0, comma. Then the size is going to be display pixels. Then inside you're gonna put 1 like this. Then we're gonna close this, right? So right here I'm gonna say box layout like this. Excuse me. Then here I'm gonna say size index. I'm gonna set it to none, and our width is going to be self dot height like this. Then canvas dot before. So this is going to be color. Then RGBA. Then RGBA here. Let's put white here. Right. Then here I'm gonna say rounded rectangle. So our size here is going to be soft dot size. And pause is going to be soft dot pause. And our radius, let's set it to 5,5,5,5, right? Then let's look at dashboard.py. So we have avatar and some labels here, right? So here I'm gonna say source. It's going to be root dot avatar like this, right? So let's go to dashboard.kv, right? And copy everything from here to here. So Control C, then paste it here. So we need to select this, hold Shift, then Shift Tab. One time should be fine. Like this. So we need to get rid of this color here, right? So that there's gonna be some separation between the header and the data, right? Okay. So this needs to be root dot name, root dot address, root dot tenant, root dot type, root dot status, like this. So underneath this ID, we need to have an avatar, and it's going to be a string property. And this is going to be name, address, tenant, type, and status. I didn't leave anything out. Okay. So let's navigate to dashboard, and we need to import this dash property tab like this. So let's run this and see how this looks now. Okay. What's the issue now? Tables.py size int x. Okay. So we need to tap this one more time. Now let's rerun this. Okay. So now this is looking much better, right? So let's even try to maximize the screen. So now our dashboard is done. So we need to start working on properties, right? Then everything else is just gonna be simpler. Working on transactions and clients and everything. It's just gonna be recycling whatever we do inside properties here, right? So let's minimize this. Then let's open our terminal, right? Press up, and then here we're gonna say properties. Press enter, right? Now we need to open init.py, so it's right here. Okay. Control C, Control V. Properties, right? And this needs to be proper properties like this. So let's navigate to home.kv. This is going to be properties, then control Z. Need to do this one. Properties. Now let's get rid of this button here. Right. So let's run this and see if we didn't make any errors. Okay. Properties. Okay, so this is fine. Okay, minimize this. So let's get rid of this. So let's navigate to properties.py, properties.kv first, right? Let's just open properties.py. Let's get rid of dashboard. We're not gonna need dashboard.kv. We're not gonna need cards anymore, but we're gonna need tables.py, right? So let's open properties.kv. Okay. Seems as if we're gonna need the dashboard.kv after all, right? So let me scroll up. Let me copy from here up to here, right? Go to properties.kv. So I'm gonna paste this here. Then need to have a button. So if you've seen some previous tutorials, right, you're not gonna be surprised by this layout, right? But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna tweak it when we are creating our tabs like back in the properties.py, right? So we're not gonna make a clickable tab, right? We're just gonna add a update and a delete button. So you're not gonna be able to click on the table. Okay, so now, right, we need to have a custom button here. So I'm gonna say custom button, right? So this custom button is inside of buttons.py, right? So I'm gonna say size int x. I'm gonna set it to none. And the width, I'm gonna set it to 100 display pixels. Then our icon is going to be plus, right? And our text is going to be add, like this, right? And we need to add an on press function, right? So on press, when I say root dot open underscore model, like this, so just say model add, and you put parentheses here, right? Okay, so let's, excuse me, down here when I put a box layout like this, right? So here, right, let's go back to dashboard.kv, right? So I'm just gonna copy this, copy everything down to this grid layout, then come back to properties.kv and then paste it here. Like this, right? Then inside here, we're just gonna add more tables, right? So the first one is just name. We need to reduce this to 0.15 so that we can add more information on the screen, right? So name is just gonna remain name. Address, let's just keep it like that. But then let's increase it to 0.3, right? Then let me copy this, paste it 2 times, right? So here we should have value. So the value of our real estate property and this needs to be rent, so monthly rent, right? So that we know how much money are we getting per month from that certain property, right? Then underneath rent, so we're gonna maintain tenant, but then we're gonna reduce the size to 0.15, like we did with the name. Excuse me, right? Then everything else is gonna remain the same. So let's get rid of this 5 here and this 5% here, right? Um, let's get rid of this dash here and let's just keep it like properties list like this, right? So let's run this and see if it looks okay. Okay, properties. So we need to change these to properties. Okay, so this should be looking much better now. So now we need to start working on properties.py, right? Okay. And let's open dashboard.py. So I'm gonna copy this. So what we can do, right? We just copy this whole function here from year up to year. Open properties, then paste it. So we need to import this from tv.clock. Okay, go back to dashboard.py. So we're gonna need these also, these two functions here. We're just gonna do a few changes to them. Then properties.py. Okay, so we need to get rid of this here. So I'm gonna paste this here, right? So now we're gonna need property tab. We're not gonna need dash property tab, right? So let's open this, right? So we added value and rent here. So we need to add those two. Okay. Control C. So this is going to be value and this is going to be rent here. So let's say our property is worth 750,000, right? So when I say 750,000, right? And our monthly rent is let's say 2K, so 2,000. So now we need to add those here. So let me control C, paste it 2 times, right? So this is going to be value and this is going to be rent like this, right? Okay, this looks okay. But now we're gonna need the ability to delete and update, right? So what we can do here is we're gonna add some callbacks, right? So we're gonna add them when we'll be creating our tables.py, but we're just gonna put them here as placeholders, right? So here I'm gonna say table raw dot the update callback, let's just call it updates underscore callback like this, and it's going to be self dot open underscore model underscore update. So we're not going to put parentheses here, right? Because if you put parentheses, the function is just going to run, right? So we want the ability to call it whenever we want, not that Python has to run it whenever it sees it. Okay, so let me control C, control V, right? So this here is going to be delete, and this one has to be, let's call it delete property. So we don't have these functions yet. right? So let's just work on the delete property real quick before we do any further. So before we call our clock, right, inside our onEnter function, right, what we can do is this. We're just gonna say self dot add property like this, and we're gonna set this to none, right? Or let's set it to an empty list. Then this is going to be update, and this is going to be delete like this, right? So delete needs to be none like this. So now what we're gonna do is we need to scroll back down, then deal with this delete property function, right? Need to create a separation here. So I'm gonna put this line, then put delete here. So okay. So now I'm gonna say define. We called it a delete property, right? Delete underscore property is gonna take in self. But since the function is gonna come from a widget that's foreign to this properties class, right? We need to take in the raw instance of that widget, right? So here I'm gonna say self comma then property like this, and inside there I'm gonna say self dot delete property, right? Is going to be the instance of that inside that property, right? The instance of the property, we're just gonna take the ID, right? So we're gonna take this here from this instance here, right? So now that we've done this, right, we need to create that pop-up, right? That's gonna ask the confirmation, as it's gonna act as confirmation, right? So let's say you want to delete something. It's gonna say, do you want to delete 1, 2, 3, 4? Then you're gonna press yes or no, right? So we're gonna call that. Inside our widgets folder, inside our pop-ups, right, we have this confirm pop-up widget here. So that's the one you're gonna be calling, right? So it has a title, right? So this is where we're gonna put the, do you want to delete this property? Do you want to delete this transaction? Do you want to delete this client, right? So let's go back to properties.py. We can get rid of pop-ups.py. So down here, right, I'm just gonna say Z. Let me just copy this, right, and paste it here. So delete property is going to be confirm pop-up like this, right? So this should import it, but down here I'm gonna say delete property dot title is going to be delete property with a question mark here, right? Then I'm gonna say delete property dot callback. So a callback is what's going to be called when we do a certain function. Right? So the callback is what's going to be called when we say yes on our confirm pop-up, right? So whenever we say yes, this should delete. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna say self dot delete property, delete underscore property underscore callback like this. So Control D, Control C. Then here I'm gonna say delete property dot open like this, so that you can be able to open the for the confirm pop-up, right? So down here I'm gonna say define, then paste the function we copied there, right? Inside here I'm gonna say self, okay, comma, let me just put an underscore here as a placeholder. And then in here I'm gonna say ID, right, is equal to self dot delete property, like this, right? Because since we're gonna be deleting, we're gonna need the ID so that we delete that only specific information, right? So for now, we're just working on the front end, right? So we're not gonna add the functionalities, right? Okay. So now that we've done dealing with the delete property, right? Let's scroll upwards. Then you're just gonna create a placeholder for this function, right? Then we're gonna go and create a custom tab, right? So underneath here, right? Let's put another comment. So this one is going to be open models. So I'm gonna Control C and paste it 2 more times, right? So this one is going to be add, and this one is going to be update, like this. Okay. So inside open models, right? I'm gonna say define open underscore model. Let's open our properties.kv, right? So I'm gonna call it this name. We put it here. I'm gonna put here. So Control D, Control V, right? So inside there, I'm gonna say let's put pass, right? Because we don't have this model just yet. Then I'm gonna copy it and paste it below. And this one is going to be update, right? And the update, you're gonna need the instance of the widget that's calling this update function. So in here, I'm gonna say let's just say instance. So the instance here we called it property. Okay, so Control D, Control C. So let me put it here like this, right? Then but the model, right? It has a property function to it. So let's just leave it at instance, right? So we don't get any issues, right? Okay. So what we're gonna do now is we need to navigate to tables.py. Then we're gonna create our one, right? So I'm gonna let's put a comment down here first so that we can get some separation. Okay. Then paste it here. So this is going to be property tab. So we need to add 2 more fields here. So this one is going to be value, and this is going to be rent, like this. Let's go back to properties.py. So we're gonna need these two update callback. So this is going to be an object property like this. So inside there, I'm gonna say allow none is going to be true. So Control C, Control V, and this is going to be delete callback, like this, right? Let's go back to properties.kv, right? So let's copy this one here, then paste it twice at the end, like this. After we're done with that, I'm gonna select this here up onto here. So Control C, then go back to tables.py, right? Underneath this one here, let me put some separation here. So the second one is going to be property tab, right? So let me paste this here. Then scroll up. I'm gonna copy this, then paste it here, right? So this one is going to be property tab. Okay, so we need to add an note here. So let me select this, shift tab twice. Okay, so this needs to be root. This needs to be lowercase. So root dot name, root dot address, root dot value, root dot rent, root dot tenant, root dot type, root dot status, right? So let me control D this twice, right? So I need to change this to a float layout. Okay, so inside here, I'm gonna put MD icon patterns, right? Then icon is going to be, so for now, let me just put one icon. So let me just say update. Then theme, text, color is going to be custom, like this. Then text, color. Let's put that olive green color we used earlier, right? So here we're gonna say 556 B. I think it was 2F. Okay. So now let's put some position in it. So pause, then put curly braces and open quotes. So here when I say center underscore X, and it's going to be 0.5, then comma, center Y, center underscore Y, going to be a 0.5 also. Then close our position in. So now what we need to do is we need to say on underscore press, right? Then root dot let's use update underscore callback, right? So what are we going to send to the function that we're gonna call when we call in the delete callback, right? We need to say self, or let's say root, like this, right? Okay, so this one needs to be delete outline, like this, and the color needs to be red, so FF, then 4 zeros. Let's make it a bit lighter. Let's put 4 sixes, like this, right? Let's go back to properties.py and import this. Okay, so let's run this and see if we don't get any errors. Okay, open properties. Okay, so okay, let's run this again. Hmm. Non-class MD icon buttons. This should be MD icon button. Okay, so here are our properties, right? So now we need to let's try deleting and see if everything is working. Okay, what seems to be the problem now? Um, where is properties.py? Delete property, open. So this should be fine. Let's go back to tables.py. Let's say self here. Control Z. We forgot to change this to delete callback. So let's run this again. And if it doesn't work, we just have to change the root to self. But I think this works. Delete property. Yes. Okay. So now let's work on updating and adding, right? So that if you press this, we're gonna get a pop up here. Then we can add the information that we need and so forth, right? So let's minimize this. Let's go back to properties.py and start working on open add model. But before we do that, right, let's create our model. So it's gonna be easier that way. So that if we finish with the model view, then you can just go and do the whole add and updating. Okay, so let's navigate to widgets, then models.py, right? So here we're gonna say class. Let's call it property model, right? Then it's gonna inherit from the model view like this. So let's navigate to tables.py and copy all this here. Then paste it down here. Control C here, Control V. So this one is going to be clause, right? So this one we're gonna use it like, let's say when we are done with the whole validation and everything, and we just need the stuff to be added or updated to our database, right? So that's when we're gonna populate this clause variable, right? And whenever it's populated, we want to make sure that whenever it's disturbed or something is added to it, it's gonna close the model for us, right? So down here, right, let's say define on underscore clause is gonna take in self, then instance, then close. So in here, I'm gonna say self.dismiss. That's just it. So we're not gonna put much information here. So this needs to be self.dismiss like this. Okay. So we might need this for the other variables also. So let me just copy it and paste it here. Right. Okay. So this right here. I don't need to be doing this. So let's say this needs to be okay. Name. Right. Then in here I'm gonna say self.ideas dot name dot text going to be name. So I want to make sure that whenever we populate these variables inside our property model, right? When we're updating, when the model pops up, it's gonna be populated with the information already. So in here, right, when the name variable is disturbed, it's gonna send that information input displayed on our model view, right? So we're gonna need name. So let me copy this. Let me get rid of these other ones here and just duplicate this on name function. It's gonna be much easier for us that way. Right. So this needs to be on address. Right. And this on value. This needs to be on rent. This needs to be on tenant. Right. Then we need type and status. And this needs to be on status like this, right? Okay, then we have okay, so we had two extra ones like this. Okay, so our what you call it, our models are gonna have like a label, right? So we need to anticipate that. So what we need to do is when we populate the name variable, right here I'm gonna say soft dot ideas. So we're gonna have a button also. So we're gonna be using the same label. Like when you're adding, the label is gonna say add property. When you're updating, it's gonna say update property. And you're also gonna have one button. So when you're adding, it's gonna say add, but when you're updating, it's gonna say update, right? So right here we need to say our label, right? Let's just call it it'll be our title. So let's just say model title. So here's gonna be dot text. It's going to be since we're updating property, so it's gonna say update property like this. Then this needs to be a model button. So I hope I won't forget these names. Then this one is just gonna be update like this, right? Okay. Um so now let's style our property model, right? Then paste it here like this. Okay, so we need to say background, right? And just gonna set this to nothing here, because the model view is gonna have like gray background color and the same color of the button like before you style it. Then you will say background color. I'm gonna set this to transparent, so this is going to be 0, 0, 0, 0 like this, right? Then in here we're gonna add an anchor layout, right? And I'm gonna say anchor X. It's going to be at the center, right? Control C, Control V, and anchor Y, right? So it's gonna be at the anchor horizontally, at the center horizontally, and at the center vertically. So inside this anchor layout, I'm gonna put a box layout, right? So this box layout is gonna have an orientation of vertical, like this. And we're gonna say size int. So it's gonna be a third of your screen size horizontally. So we're gonna say 1/3. Then it's gonna be 4/5 of your screen going vertically, right? So we're gonna give this some padding. So we're gonna maintain 10 display pixels as padding. Then spacing, we're gonna set it to 40 display pixels, like this. Then I will need to give this some background. So I'm gonna say canvas dot before, then color, RGBA. Let's set it to white. So 1,1,1,1 like this. Then I'm gonna say rounded rectangle like this. So pause is going to be self.pause. Then size is going to be self dot size like this, right? So and we need to give this some radius. All right, so radius we're just gonna maintain 5,5,5,5 like this, right? So now that inside our box layout, we need to have a box layout. So we're not gonna add the vertical orientation because we need this to be to maintain the default horizontal orientation, right? So here we're just gonna give this some height. So size int y, we're gonna set it to none, and the height we're gonna set it to 40 display pixels like this. Then the spacing is gonna be 10 display pixels, right? So inside this box layout, we're gonna put our MD label, right? And we're gonna give this MD label an ID, right? So let's scroll downwards and see the ID we gave. We called it more.title. So Control D, Control C, then paste it here, right? So the text, is going to be add property, right? Then font style is going to be label. Then raw is going to be large. Then our bold is going to be true, like this, right? Then next to this MD label, we need to have a float layout. So we're gonna place a close button right here. So we're gonna say float layout like this. Then we're gonna say size int x. We're gonna set it to none. Then our width is going to be self.height like this, right? Then inside this float layout, you need to put an MD icon button. So the icon for this is going to be close. So it's just going to be an X, right? Then now theme text color, right? We're going to set it to custom. Then text color, we're going to set it to hashtag AD888C like this. Then we need to give this a position int. So center x is going to be at 0.5. Then center y is going to be 0.5 also, like this. Then we're gonna say on underscore press, right? So we're just gonna say root dot dismiss. So the mode of view has a built-in dismiss function. That's the one we're gonna be calling when we do the define or close. So we're gonna call it here also, so that whenever you press this button, right, it's gonna close the mode of view. So you don't have to create another function that can close this mode of view. So we're just gonna do that inside the KV file, right? So underneath this MD icon button, right, you need to put a box layout here. So this one is going to be under this. You need to type this inside. Okay, so it's gonna be under this box layout. Yeah. Then I'm gonna say box layout. Orientation is going to be set to vertical. Right. Let's just go back to properties.py and see if we can see what we've done for now, right? So here, right, what we need to do is this. Let me copy this, right, and replace it here. So open model add is going to be properties. What did I call it? Property model. Okay, like this, right? Then for now, let me just say open model add dot open. So let's import this. So let's run this. Okay, so let's open properties, right? Okay, so there we have our model, right? So let me maximize this. So this one is just gonna be a third of the available screen size, right? And the height is gonna be 4/5 of that, right? So if we press this, right, we should be able to close this like this. Okay, so everything is okay. So let's proceed, right? And we need to give this some spacing of 10 display pixels, like this, right? Um, inside this box layout, right, we need to put some text fields and all that other stuff, right? So right here, right, I'm gonna say box layout, right, and I'm gonna say size it y. I'm gonna set this to none, and our height, I'm gonna set it to 35 display pixels, like this, right? I give this some padding of 1 display pixel, right? So let me, okay, I need to copy this here and paste it here, right? So inside here, we need to say RGBA. So hashtag E9, 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 like this, right? So inside this box layout, I'm gonna add another box layout. So box layout like this. Then I'm gonna put this white background here, right? So inside this one, we need to add some padding, right? So the left and right padding, we're gonna set it to 10 display pixels, Then the top and bottom display pixels is gonna be 2.5. Excuse me. And let's give this some spacing. So I'm gonna give this some spacing of 10 display pixels, like this, right? And let's not make this white, right? Let's make it a very light gray. So this is going to be F5, 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 right? So inside this box layout, right, we need to put a label in the text field. So I'm gonna give this some size in X, and I'm gonna set this to none, and some width. Um, let's set this to 60 display pixels, like this, right? Then give it some text. So this is going to be name, right? Then font style. Let's say label draw is going to be medium, and let's make it bold. So bold is going to be true, like this. And underneath this MD label, we need to put a text field, right? So I'm gonna say text field. So when I give this text field an ID of name, like this, then hint text is going to be, let's say, property name, then dot dot dot, like this. Then we're gonna set multi-line to false, like this, right? So let's open tables.py, right? We're gonna need an address. So this can be a text field, but this one here, these three at the end here needs to be custom drop downs, right? So let's go back to models.py. So I'm just gonna hold shift, then select this, Control C, red arrow, then paste it twice, right? We need to paste it one more time, right? So the second one, okay. So name, the second one was address. So this is going to be property address, then value and rent. So this is going to be value, and this is going to be value. So here we need to put an input filter, which is going to be float, since monetary values are measured in float. Okay, let me just copy this and paste it here. And this one is going to be rent. So property monthly rent, right? So let me select these here. So let me select it from here to here, right? So I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna paste this 3 times. 2, 3, right? So this one here is going to be status. This one is going to be type, and this one is going to be tenant, like this, right? Okay, so underneath this MD label, I'm gonna add a custom dropdown, right? So this custom dropdown, you can find it in our buttons.py inside our widgets folder, like this, right? So the ID here is going to be tenant, like this. Then our text. So our text is going to be select current tenant, like this, right? Then we're gonna have values, right? So these are gonna be the options we're gonna be selecting from, right? So the first one is just saying none, like this. Then when I have Tate, um, let's have Sandra, um, and let's have Kit, right? Um, so I'm gonna copy this drop down here. Then I'm gonna paste it underneath our type label here. So we're gonna change tenant to type here. So this needs to be select property type, right? So let's get rid of this none here, right? So this one, let's just say apartment, right? And this one, let's say condominium, right? This one, let's say it's a townhouse. Then we can have a penthouse. Then let's add a villa and a farm. So let's say farmhouse, like this. Um, then down here, let's put our status. So this one is going to be status. So let's change these to select property status, like this. So let's say this one is available under lease, rented, under renovation, under construction. So you can put as many options as you can, but for now I'm just gonna stick with this few, right? So what I'm thinking is we can add notes, right? Extra notes on the property, right? So I'm just gonna have to add them in the tables.py, right? So here I'm gonna put a box layout. So let me just copy these two here. So let's increase the height here to 50 display pixels, right? So inside this box layout, right, I'm gonna add a box layout. Then I'm gonna give this some orientation of vertical, right? I'm gonna say size int x. I'm gonna set it to none, and width. I'm gonna set it to 60 display pixels, right? Then I need this inside this box layout. Let's put an MD label. Then underneath this MD label, I'm just gonna put an empty box layout so that I push the MD label upwards, right? So let me just scroll up. I'm gonna need this information. Then I'm gonna paste it here. So I need to change this to height, and this needs to be 35, and this needs to be size int y, like this, and this is going to be notes, like this, right? And now let me shift tab once. So down here, right, I'm gonna add a text field like this, then give it an ID of notes, right? Then int text is going to be property notes, and let's put optional in quotes here, then dot dot dot, right? So okay, we need anything else? So before we forget, right, so this needs to be notes, right? Like this. Okay, so tables.py notes like this, but we're not gonna be able to see these nodes displayed on our screen, right, unless we try to update something inside our dashboard.py. So let's go back to models.py. So underneath our nodes, right, we need to add buttons, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna need a button to add our image, to say open our file chooser. Then we're gonna need a label that's gonna act as an error. Then gonna need a button to add and update, right? So right here, let's put a custom flat button, right? So the ID here is going to be avatar. Then our size int y, let's set it to none, and our height is going to be, let's set it to 30 display pixels. Let's maintain 35, like this. Text, so text is going to be add image, like this. Then on underscore press, going to be root dot add underscore image, then parentheses, like this. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it below it, then get rid of the ID here. Then text is going to be, let's just say add here, right? Then on press, what we're gonna do is gonna say callback like this. Then it's gonna send the root. So let me go down here. We don't have this callback here. So call back, you go to object property, allow none is equal to true like this. Okay, let me go back up. So between these two buttons here, we need to have an error. So here I'm gonna say md label. All right, I'm gonna give it an ID of error, then size int y. I'm gonna set it to none, and our height let's set it to 30 display pixels. If the spacing is too much, we're just gonna reduce it to 20. Then I'm gonna say, let me take some of the stuff here. So I need these two, right? And the row is going to be small. Okay. And we need to align the text to the center. So each line needs to be center like this, right? And underneath our add button, right? Let's just add an entry box layout, right? So that if you have any space, everything's gonna be pushed upwards and look so much better, right? So let's run this and see how this looks. Okay, so we have an error. Text field. Let me control D everything. Yeah. Okay. All right. Arrow. So now let's run this again. Open properties. So let's add that. So everything is gonna look okay if the screen is maximized, right? See. So I'm gonna reduce the size of this one. Oh, I'm just gonna make sure that whenever I run this, everything is just gonna be maximized. All right. So let's go to init.py, right? Okay. So here when I say window dot maximize like this. So let's run this again. Okay, so let's put a Z here. Get rid of this S and put a Z here. Okay, so now whenever we run our app, it's just gonna fill in the whole screen now. Okay, so let's minimize and proceed. So now, right, okay, let me just open it one more time. Navigate to properties, then add. Okay, so now our app is looking so much better, right? So now what I'm gonna do is go to our properties.py, then start working on the back end of this. But we're just working on the user interface for now, right? So properties.py, right? So down here I need to say open underscore model add dot callback, right, is equal to, let's just say, self dot add underscore property. So we don't have this function just yet. So let me control D, control C, and paste it inside this add section here. So define, right? So self comma. So it's gonna take in property like this. Let me just say instance, like this. Then I'm gonna do the same here. Like this. Okay. So here I'm gonna say cost, right? So let's scroll up, right? So let's copy this from here to here, right? Then get rid of this pass here, then paste this here. So right here I'm gonna say control Z. Let me just copy this, then paste it here. So this is going to be property model like this, right? Okay. Then here, right, I'm gonna select this, then say instance dot like this, right? Okay. So now this only needs to be callback, right? So right here we had add property, so this should be update underscore property, right? So let me copy this and paste it here. So this is going to be update like this. So let's run this and see if our update button on our tab is working okay. Okay, open properties. Okay, so what's the issue here? Self dot model button. Okay, maybe we forgot. Okay, so we didn't give this one an ID. Okay, so now this should work. Nice. So okay, properties. Okay, this is not doing anything. So update callback needs to open models dot. So this needs to open, right? So here I'm gonna say open model update dot open like this. So let's run this again. Property is okay. So now we're getting all our information. So these two are working properly and our model view is working out perfectly, right? So let's close this. Let's minimize this. All right. So we forgot to add our notes here. So Control C, Control V. So this should be notes, right? And we need to edit here also. Okay. So now we have our nodes here. Our open models working properly. So we need to edit here also. Nodes, right? So now let's work on adding property, right? Then after that, we work on updating it. Okay, so let me just copy this, right? Then paste it, right? So what I'm gonna do is let me get rid of this, right? Then I'm gonna select this, then get rid of it, right? So when adding properties, we're not gonna need ID, right? But we're gonna need it when we're updating. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna Control D this, press right arrow, dot, IDs, like this, right? So here I'm just gonna say dot text. So let me just copy this. Then press down, paste it here, 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 and here. So let me do the same. What did I just do? Control C, right? Paste this here, here. Okay. So right here, let me Control D this. Right arrow. So you're gonna say dot IDs like this, right? So let's go back to edit properties, right? So right here we need to do some form validation. Okay, so you need to say if name is equal to empty, right? Or address is equal to empty, or value is equal to empty, or rent is equal to empty, or tenant is equal to let's leave it at empty for now, and then we're gonna check our models.py to see what's gonna be the default text there. And this needs to be type is equal to empty, or status is equal to empty, right? So we're not gonna check notes, right? Because notes is optional. You can put notes or you can just leave it empty. Everything will just be all right. So then here we're gonna say instance dot IDs dot error is equal to fill in or required fields, right? Then down there when I say instance dot IDs dot error dot color is equal to red, like this, right? So let's go back to models.py. Select property status, Control C, open properties.py, paste this one here. Then press this one here. And press this one here, right? So what are we gonna do? Like first let's do this. So here we're gonna say else, right? So you need to say instance dot clause. So now we're gonna call the clause function we talked about earlier, right? This clause variable. So we're gonna send information to it so that when we don't have any errors, and we're gonna close this model, right? So excuse me. So here when I say instance dot clause is equal to, let's just say clause. You can just put any text here. It doesn't matter. Then we need to say self dot add property here, right? So now we need to put information into our list, right? So we need to send in the avatar, the name, address, value, rent, tenant, type, status, and notes, like this, right? After we've done sending this information to our solve.it property, right? I'm gonna say, let me copy this and paste it here. So add property is going to be, let me just go down there and copy this, right? Then paste it here. So this needs to be, so we need to type this inside like this. Get rid of this. Control D, Control X, then paste it like this. Okay. So this is going to be add property callback, right? So I'm gonna Control D, Control C this. Define, comma, let's put a space holder here. So what we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna copy all of this, then paste it here. Alright. So let's get, okay, let's select everything from here. Backspace. Okay, so this here needs to be self dot add property. So this is going to be at index 0, right? So let me Control C this and paste it here. Okay. So our name is gonna be at index 1, then address at index 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Like this, right? So what we need to do is just copy all of this, then paste it underneath here, right? So this one is going to be update property like this, right? And this needs to be update property like this, right? But now we need to have an ID here. So this one is going to be 1, and this one's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like this. And we need to add our ID here. Okay. This needs to be add property, and this needs to be update, like this. So this here needs to be changed also. Update property, like this. So let me just look at it real quick. Okay, so let's just run this and see where we are with this. Okay, properties, add. Okay, now we have an error. String object is no attribute color. Okay, let's close this here. Okay, so let's look at our errors here, right? So here we need to have dot text here. So let me just copy it and add it down here like this. So let's rerun this. Okay. So now our fields are working. So let me just put some random stuff here. So select the tenant. So let's say there's no tenant. Type, it's a townhouse. Status, under renovation. Then add. So okay. Let's go back to our code. So let's open our let's navigate to widgets folder, then open patterns.py. So if we look at let's open our custom dropdown, right? So the ID we gave, right, is for this year, right? But then if you want to access the text of this one year, right, we need to say dot ideas dot spinner here, right? So if we go back to properties.py, right? Let's take tenant for example, right? So I'm just gonna copy this, then control D this so that I can fix them at the same time, right? So this one is with dot ideas dot spinner, like this. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this here, then paste it on type here, then status, right? So I'm gonna do the same for the add property, like this. Okay, so let's run this again. So let's add some dummy information again. So let's say it's a farmhouse this time. So status, let's say it's under construction, right? So let's add, okay, add property. So now let's check if our update is working as well, right? So let me just clear this, right? Then update, okay. So now press update. So now this is working. Then our delete button is working also, okay, right? So now let's work on transactions, right? So this is what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna end this video right here, right? So in the video description, I'm gonna put the link to the template folder that's gonna have all the code that we did from the start up until this moment, right? So in the next video, I'm just gonna work on the transaction clients and the authentication. And on the third episode, I'm gonna do the backend, right? So with each episode, right, all the code from the start up until that moment, right, is gonna be uploaded, and the link is gonna be in the video description. So until next time, peace.